heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
Welcome. We have guests.
We're only at 66% today.
What does that mean?
That means we're -1. We're minus.
Oh, I thought you were like saying we don't have much time on the batteries.
I'm saying Andy's not here.
I know. Andy's not here, but we have two people filling his seat.
We do. Andy was busy.
Technically, wouldn't it be 80%?
Would it?
She's the math teacher.
Oh, she would know.
Like, how'd you get 66?
I was referring.
I don't know either.
I was
Because
referring.
there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
So that would be a third.
Oh,
which would
okay.
be
I let it. All right.
66%.
Depends on how you wrote the word problem.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. That's what I was
Sorry.
getting at. So
Yeah.
no, Andy.
Nerd alert.
He'll be back, but yeah. So this was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. Where typically we're scheduling stuff, and it's 11 o'clock. So it's not quite lunchtime. So we
Right.
don't even have any beers.
No, you have a monster.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Because normally we're having beers to podcast, but not today. Because we have a couple of our favorite people in town.
Yay.
Favorite?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do love
I
you
already
guys.
knew that was the case.
Tony
You did?
and Amy Fast came all the way from Montana. Guys,
Yeah.
Montana. So on the Farm Focused website, for folks who have been following the podcast, if you've gone and you visited that, Fast Ag Montana, Tony and Amy, they've been on the site. You guys have been on the site. You're one of the originals.
yeah,
Yep.
the OGs.
Yeah, it's been what? How long has it been?
It was almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously, we handle on the Farm Focus side merchandising for the Fast Ag brand. Tony started a YouTube channel. How long ago was that?
Probably 3.5 years ago.
Okay, so it's pretty close to the time that you
Yep.
started doing the merchandising.
Oh, I don't think I knew it was that close together.
Maybe 4 years. It might have been a year.
I laid in bed last night wondering, like, when did this all begin?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Okay.
So obviously doing that, and it's great. It's super cool to be affiliated with folks like you guys. And then you come into town. So the background story is that Amy grew up in Nebraska,
Yeah.
right?
Go Big Red.
Yeah. there you
Yeah.
go.
Still. Yep. Yeah, over by the Hastings area.
Okay.
And then went to school over here in Lincoln. And I don't know. Nebraska still feels like home, even though I've been in Montana for almost 17 years.
Yep.
Almost 18 years, actually. Gosh.
You guys are what? What did you say? 1,400 miles from here? Is that what? Or how far is it?
No, from here we're probably 900.
900. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, long ways from home.
Mm-hmm.
But you come back to Nebraska, seems like yearly or whatever.
A few times a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we finally got the opportunity to get you guys out here to the shop and see the place and hang out a little bit. Go visit Round the Bend Steakhouse last night.
Had some good food.
That was amazing. Yeah.
You loved
So
your
good.
sandwich.
I know. I didn't know I don't usually love meatloaf, but that was awesome.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. The meatloaf sandwich.
Did he give you guys some merch too?
Oh yeah.
Some gear? Okay.
Some
TJ.
glasses and beanies, shirts. We're all hooked up.
Yeah.
TJ's a big fan of the farm tubers. So being out where he is, obviously they're out there in farm country and
What a cool
work
guy.
with a lot of
He was a neat
a lot
man.
of small town folks. And their food's phenomenal. And they're known for, we've done this a couple times on the podcast, the cow balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to eat some balls, but that's nothing new to you guys.
No, because you guys
That's
do that.
honestly the first time I've ever had them.
Me.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I
okay.
would say.
All right.
But I'm not
So-
afraid.
No.
But don't you do that with your cattle, you guys said?
When
Well,
we don't do cow-calf operation anymore, but when we did do that, we would put the green Cheerio on when they were born, so we didn't have to worry about it later.
Yeah.
it's a band, and then they just fall off
Oh.
out
It's
in the
it's
pasture.
basically like a tight rubber band that stretches over.
But I had been around it a bit before I even met Tony. And so
Okay.
That's when I tried. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Typically, they would do that at branding time, and
Yeah.
they would save them all and then cook them.
Right.
That's like for those that
Because everyone's there
understand what we're talking
helping.
about.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
like
big
it's like a
thing.
tradition.
Yeah.
Gather together and
And that's what they do up there every year, that testicle festival. So that's what that
At
that's
RTB,
what,
yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
that was originally
So
designed
cool.
around, was that time of year and doing all of that, and then all the guys that were involved would come to the bar, I guess, at the time,
And bring their balls
Yeah, pretty much.
Both sets.
Yeah,
One
and throw them in
chicken-
the fryer.
That's
Yeah.
horrible.
yep.
Grow
And then,
up.
and then they'd get after it
Okay.
and drink dollar beers.
Right. It was busy.
It was.
Yeah.
They've got a good thing going. Pretty cool. I actually was texting some friends this morning that live in the area, and my brother-in-law, and they all have been to that place,
Oh, they
love
all know
it.
it. Yeah.
Oh, good.
A good friend of mine from high school was like, I love that guy. I comment on all his Facebook posts, and
Oh, okay.
he doesn't know who I am, but I really like TJ. So it's
That's
kinda
cool.
fun. Yeah.
That is funny.
Yeah, they're good family. Good people. So I thought, having you guys around, it'd just be kind of fun to sit down and chat a little bit about the YouTube thing that you're doing, because we're, so highly involved in that in terms of the business. And I think it's really interesting for people as well to kind of understand, like, how does this really work and why are these guys doing this thing? And then obviously with your Nebraska ties, just kind of how you guys came up and what your life's like today. So maybe we start with you two. You guys been together now, what were we talking about earlier? 15 years? Is that right? When you
We
married?
had our 15th anniversary this last year, yeah, in July.
And I celebrated it by going Alaska fishing without her.
Wow. That was a
Romantic.
nice
Maybe he'll buy
present.
me a knife later. No.
There you go.
kidding.
Yep. Yep.
It just happened. Buddy was like, "Hey, I'm going to Alaska. You want to come along?" I'm like, "Well, what's this going to cost me?" He's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm coming." "Well, I better check." And she's like, "Yeah, you better go."
Go. He brought back a lot of fish, salmon, all sorts of good stuff. I love fish, so that was a great anniversary gift.
And you were down here, I think. Was you at your parents for your 4th?
Oh yeah, we were married on 7707, not
On
on
purpose.
purpose.
No.
No, it just happened to be when the church and everything opened up. That was a big deal. And then some lady, we were featured in the newspaper back home, and she was like really excited about 777. Why that date? I'm like, because the church and the reception hall, we could do it all. That's why. It was kind of a lame reason, but
And that's dead time for farming in Montana, kind of.
Yeah.
Like spraying's done, harvest is
Yeah.
a month away.
Well, and you can't forget that date.
no, it's super
Oh,
easy.
it worked out really
So-
good.
Yeah, that's a great
Because
one.
we're both really good at forgetting.
When's your anniversary?
It's that one day, that special day,
In May, I always forget the year. It's
Because you can't just rattle it off. 777.
No.
No,
No.
you can't. Mm-mm.
No.
No. So,
That's funny.
so Amy, you grew up in Nebraska. You were
Yeah.
out by Hastings, you said.
Yep.
Not far from us, from where we're at right
I know.
now.
I think we miss each other at the university by a year.
By a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot. It's crazy. We have a handful of mutual friends.
Yeah, it's funny
Connections.
since we met through the business, and then we started realizing, like, oh yeah, those people and those people. and-
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of funny.
I love it. I love it.
But I love the story how you guys met.
It's a unique one.
Well,
I mean, it was online.
It was unique then.
Yeah.
No
Pre-
swiping left or right or up or down or whatever the heck they do now. But
Yeah.
So you
No.
had this lonely farmer up in Montana.
Oh, it was not on farmersonly.com, that's for sure.
No.
My dad, you guys don't know this, but my dad, as an ag banker, had said, please don't marry a farmer.
Oh, really?
And then this
Oh,
just
he
happened.
did?
I
And why
mean,
did he say that?
Well, he'd just seen a lot of guys go under over the years, or,
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of hardship
trying
and
to
stuff.
take care
Yeah.
of his
Yeah.
daughter, that didn't
Yeah.
go the way he had
'Cause-
planned.
I don't know. It was kind of funny. So I never did intend on marrying a farmer. But yeah, after school, well, I did my last semester of school to be a teacher in Nebraska, moved to Colorado, and had been out there for a bit living with my aunt and uncle. And after a few blind dates that were not successful with Air Force Academy guys, a friend said, hey, give this a whirl. And I'm like, what? And this was the day of
So this was 20 years
dial-up
ago.
internet.
Yeah.
This would have been in 2000.
05.
Yeah. Dial-up internet.
Free
No-
nights and weekends on Verizon
No
cell phones.
smartphones or apps or,
Right.
And so,
Texting really wasn't even a big thing yet.
yeah, it really wasn't. I don't
T9 words,
think I
whatever the heck
had.
that was.
Gosh.
Yeah, because your phone didn't have
It was flip phones.
letters on
A
it.
It was,
keyboard.
you had to use
Yeah.
T9.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I kind of sunk at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm old fashioned in a sense anyway, so I hadn't upgraded to cool things yet.
Hours of phone conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
In
met
the evenings.
online on a little site that he only cost me $9.99.
I was telling him earlier.
Bargain.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cheap, and you get what you pay for. I mean, $9.99.
But there probably was some free websites out there too.
Yeah, that would have
Ooh.
been worse.
Well, did he tell you the story of our friends that lived within the same block over in
I think they're in Boston.
Boston, and they were
They
on
met-
eHarmony,
Met through eHarmony.
which was $50 a month back then, and I wasn't willing to pay that.
Yeah, that's too much.
I wouldn't.
I
have
needed
either.
some gas money for skiing, and so I don't know what his reason was, but
That's-
our friend ended up, she married a doctor. If I would have forked over $50, I probably could have married a doctor instead of a $9.99 farmer.
It's like a doctor of the land.
Oh,
You're so kind. Oh,
doctor of the
he does
land.
care
New
for the
t-shirt idea.
land.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh,
That's funny.
That's
Yeah.
the first time I've ever heard that. He
But-
does do a good job caring
You
for
know,
the
I
land.
just- yeah.
But then you moved to Montana and
I resigned from my teaching position. My parents were so upset with me because I
In
did not have
Colorado.
a job lined up moving to Montana, and they were like, "What are you going to do?" So, got a job as a math teacher, and
They'll hire anybody to teach in Montana though. So like
thanks a lot, babe.
no, like I'm saying there's lots of opportunities for
There
good
are.
teachers to find jobs quickly.
Yeah.
That
But-
was a good. You saved that one. Good job.
Well, she cut me off by laughing.
Sorry.
but from when you started dating to when you moved out there, what was like 6 months, a year?
It was a year.
Was it quick?
It was October we started talking.
Yeah. And then I moved out there in July.
Okay. So not
June.
even a year.
It would have been June.
Yeah.
No, just to see, like, could I handle this? What do I think of this guy for real in person? And trying to think. I thought I would have some time to really, what is this area like? And do I really, really, truly love this guy? Could I marry this man? And I thought I'd have a few months, maybe 6 or something. And he asked me to marry him a month later.
Oh.
End of story.
He was ready.
End of story.
No,
I said no. I said, can you ask me tomorrow? The first time he asked me.
You did?
Yes.
Why?
I think I was just like, do I love this area enough? Because you've been there, Ben. It's
Oh, yeah.
so rural.
It is very.
It's very far removed from all the things.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
It's beautiful.
It,
But
100%. Yeah, you hear people say like, oh, I'm out in the middle of nowhere or whatever, but you guys actually are.
yeah, statistically speaking, according to the Washington Post.
Yeah, they did a study or whatever you want to call it, and they said the towns under 1,000 people, the farthest away from like
A major airport.
100,000
or-
population
I
or
don't
something
remember
like
what it
that.
was.
The 3 towns that are around us were 1, 2, and 3 in the nation,
Wow.
and our farm is basically centered between 1, 2, and 3. So
I always say we live an hour beyond the middle of nowhere because it is about an hour drive to each of those towns.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's out there. And you guys are pretty close to the border, right?
yeah, 40 miles north is Canada.
Yeah, so you can pretty well see it. I mean, you can look for miles and miles.
We farm within 20 miles of it.
Yeah.
So there is a power plant in Cornac, Saskatchewan that like from some of our farm ground, you can see the stack in the winter, like steam coming out of it. So
Really?
Nice.
it's not too far.
But your family has had this land for how long?
1916, our farm was homesteaded.
Okay.
So centennial and then some now.
But then nothing around that really has changed. I mean, you always think, I guess I think of things start building up. But you've always been, even then, obviously, it was remote and it still is.
Kind of all of Montana's that way. I mean,
Okay.
some towns are
Yeah.
finally
I mean,
big
you
enough
hear that
they
about
grow on
Montana.
themselves.
Utah, I don't know.
Well, and
I guess
obviously
I do,
everybody's watching Yellowstone and
Yes.
seeing all that, so you get like kind of a general idea, but it is kind of like that. I mean, as far as a lot of the scenery goes,
Yep.
I mean, obviously there's a lot of drama and stuff added into that, and you guys aren't anywhere close to any of those big town things that they show
No,
on
we're
the show.
5 hours from Billings. and-
Yeah.
the most well-known thing we're close to is the Missouri River, which, yeah, I mean, otherwise, do people know of our area?
Which is crazy. We talk about Nebraska, and obviously, like the Missouri, if here in about a month, you'll be able to see the Missouri River through that window. And you don't realize, like, I never even realized, I guess I haven't followed it back that far, that's all the way up there. I mean, 900.
Yeah, it starts up at like Bozeman.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The conference.
Fresh
yeah,
mountain water. than up there.
Until it gets down here.
Right.
It's been through a few
Till it gets a little
places.
cloudy.
Yeah.
Can't see your hands under the
Oh, yeah.
water.
Well, it's muddy here is also the big difference.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
run off and heavy thunderstorms, put some dirt in the
hmm
creek and get
And
to
that's the
river.
thing, like around here, all the lakes and waterways and everything are muddy. Like we're not rocky. You guys would be more rocky, right?
No,
Sandy,
it-
rocky,
it-
sandy.
It's like gumbo clay,
Okay.
bottom down, but
Yeah.
it's the lake is so long that it's clear by the time
And
it's
it's not
all
like-
settled out by the time it gets to the dam.
It's not like silt dirt.
No,
It's like clay dirt.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if you go on the beach, your feet are like you have to scrub your feet clean to get back in a boat or whatever
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
unless
that makes a big
unless
difference.
they've dumped sand there, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
there are
not-
some man-made beaches. But
Okay. So on we were talking about farming a little bit. So obviously, Tony, did you grow up there in Montana?
Yep. Yeah, I've lived on the same yard besides going to college just my whole life. Well, no, we did have
We
a
live
house.
in a town.
We
Little
were
town.
married, but yeah, been farming.
Did
Growing
where did your family move from back in 1916? Is that what you said?
Mountain Lake, Minnesota.
Okay, came over from
So when they
Minnesota.
left, it was too wet to farm there, and then they went to it where it's too dry to farm now.
Oh, gosh.
Somewhere in between would have been great,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
but
So what kind of crops are you guys raising in Montana?
pretty much like what would classify as small grains. So no like large scale corner beans in our area. So it's spring wheat, winter wheat, durum, which is like a wheat that's used for pasta, canola for canola oil, peas and lentils, chickpeas, for-
Flax.
Yeah, friends don't let friends raise flax. It's a nightmare to harvest.
Really?
I was
It's-
just going to say, what does that mean? Yeah.
Oh,
You have to pretty much put a brand new sickle in to cut it because it's just super fibrous stalks, and that stubble is there forever. It takes forever to break down.
Mm.
So it's kind of just a nightmare to manage it
but
after the
it
fact.
is
too.
my favorite crop to
Why?
watch.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's different up there because there's a lot of flowering that happens in a handful of the crops. And so like canola is a beautiful yellow. So you'll just see giant fields of yellow, these
Okay.
flowers. Peas are white flowers. You don't get, I mean,
No,
you
we don't see flowers here.
Yeah.
Well, the soybeans would have
Soybeans some, but
similar
it's
to
there's a
Yeah.
lot of green
peas.
foliage where this is like lots of flowers. But then the flax is a really deep purple, light blue. I don't know
Yep.
if that can you even say those are the same color, but
Oh, pretty.
it's gorgeous. It
Okay.
really is. It's pretty. So, but then when the flax matures and ripens, it is so unique and it looks like
They call a seed pod a bowl instead of a head or whatever, but it's a bowl.
it reminds me of like a baby rattle because all the flax is kind of it's in its own little orange
gotcha, yeah.
section. You know how you peel an orange, you can get your
Yeah.
sections out.
Right.
That's how the flax.
The seeds are all stacked on edge.
Are in there.
Circular, like orange slices are in an orange.
Interesting.
But it like they kind of are loose within that, and so if the wind's blowing it, I can't even. You got that on your push button thing over there.
the
But it's
noise
just
of
like
the
a
flax.
rattling. It's really neat. It's a unique crop that.
Huh.
Yeah.
And
But-
what's that harvested and used for?
Flaxseed for
Yeah,
human
flaxseed.
consumption, I think.
The seed.
Health food stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
even though it is a pain, you still do it.
We did it for like 2 years, and we haven't done it since.
I think
Okay.
it depends on the market.
Lentils are the same way. It's like, oh yeah, lentil market's great. We should plant a bunch of lentils, and then it's a slow harvest, and then you have combine smoldering because the dust is so flammable and static electricity, and then it's hard on combines because we have rocks and we're cutting on the ground. Even though we land roll it so that we've got the rocks pushed down, we still pick rocks with the combines, and it's a nightmare. And then we don't raise them for like 3 years again, and then we're like, hey, we should try lentils again. It just
It's
keeps
like
coming
you
back.
forget, and then you're like, ooh,
We
this
don't
is fun.
forget,
And you,
but when they're worth $20 a bushel, we'll
Yeah.
try raising them.
Market makes a big deal.
gotcha.
Sometimes they're like the most on paper, they're the most profitable crop on an average yield. So,
But it's because it's so hard, probably.
nope.
As
The
long
other
as you
harder
don't
crop to raise.
implode a combine.
We had a custom cutter cutting with us, and twice they had to stop and put out smolders.
Mm.
And it was like randomly, it's static because it's just everything's scraping the ground, creating static electricity. Like if you walked across carpet in your feet and go touch something, you touch that combine, it'll shock you. Even though you drag chains and stuff like that to try and
Yeah.
ground it. Ground's dry that time of year. It doesn't always work to ground it. And there'll be smoldering going on in the rotor compartment, and then up by the engine on a frame rail. Like, it's just weird.
Weird.
So lots of combines get burnt up in lentil fields.
Yeah. And dry. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of
It
it's
is dry.
because it's hot and dry. If it was
Yeah.
more humid, it's some years it's not as bad as others.
What was the when I was up there last time? You guys gave me something that somebody you knew was making and packaging. Was it lentils?
Yeah, lentil crunchers. And that's like we raise
Oh, yeah.
richly lentils, which are like, I
Little-
don't know, they're bigger than what they use. There's different sizes of lentils. There's like small, medium, and large. And they're using the small ones, cooking them and seasoning them. And they're like,
Did you enjoy those?
Yeah, they were great.
they're like a corn nut.
And the
Like, they
flavors
flavor
were really
'em.
good. They had a few different flavors that they were
we
making.
love those Farver Farms.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like-
that's what it was. Yeah,
Yep. They've got their lentil crunchers.
Yeah, they're in
and
the area. They're within an hour. So
It's
I
pretty
think
cool.
I've seen them on social media, aren't they?
She does a really good job.
Yeah.
Shauna does
Yeah.
a good job of being out there. And I think she's sold to all 50 states, and they've got them in stores all over the place. And
Cool.
pretty cool. They're delicious.
People should
Oh,
check
yeah.
that out. We should order some and you see if you like it.
Yeah, I don't know what you
Yeah.
guys are
do you like
talking
dill
about.
pickles?
Yeah.
They're like, you'll
I
never
do.
touch a dill pickle spit seed ever again because these are way better than those dill pickle ones.
The
Like, they
sunflower seed.
legitimately taste like a pickle.
Yeah.
Really?
So
I liked the there was like a bacon or something, wasn't there?
Hickory.
Oh, that's probably the hickory,
Hickory,
one.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that because you guys were talking about like using it in the place of bacon bits and
On
stuff
salads
like that.
and
Yeah,
stuff. That's
yeah.
my
Ooh.
favorite way to do it. Man, why didn't we stock up on those to bring to you
I
guys?
don't
Sorry.
know. Ben ate them all on the way down and
Yeah.
never got when he
Yeah.
got
What the
home, huh?
heck? No.
Dirty dog.
They're all, yeah.
That's funny.
What was that called? Farver?
Farver Farms.
Farms,
Farver. Farver Farms.
Yeah, people have to check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's a completely different thing. Like as far as around here, you don't see that around here. I bet if we hunted around in like if you go up to Omaha and go to like one of the health grocery stores or something, you'd probably find them.
Yeah, it's got to be.
But you're not going to see it at the local grocery store. You don't. It's not even something that you probably even ever heard
No,
of.
I haven't.
So it's neat
Have
to
you
kind
ever
of have
eaten
that.
lentils?
No.
Have you ever eaten hummus?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I love hummus.
Hummus is made from garbanzo beans or chickpeas, which we do grow.
Which I like chickpeas.
Yeah, and so I mean, that's what I feel is different. Is a lot of this growing up in Nebraska, it was corn and soybeans.
Yeah.
and for feed, not necessarily for
Direct
human
to human
consumption.
consumption.
And so
Right.
that's what's really
Yeah.
neat. I think about
Yeah.
some of it is I can just go grab a bucket of wheat to because I do make a lot of our bread.
Okay.
And just it's cheap that way.
Yeah,
With
that's
the lentils and the
a
chickpeas
strange
and-
thought because you could go out to your big field and
Well, I just go to the bin, or he usually has some cleaned
Gotcha,
for
yep,
seed
yep.
for the next year that it's already cleaned up. And
so we'll have people around here that are city people that don't realize, and they'll just pull up to a cornfield
Yeah.
and just start plucking ears, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got our corn on the cob for tonight,"
And we're like,
and they don't realize
not
it's
sweet.
yeah,
No.
that's
You're-
field corn, buddy.
You know what's
Go ahead
funny
and try
about that though? We had a kid from Argentina, well, 25-year-old, I guess.
Yeah.
He's kid because he's about half my
a
size.
young man, a really great kid.
But
Yeah.
they raise like corn and beans and wheat and dairy. They're on a dairy on their farm back in Argentina, and he had never had sweet corn. Like that's
Oh.
what they would do is pick
They-
young field corn.
he's never had it.
No,
So you're just used to
we
a
treated
different
him
taste.
to sweet corn and we sent him home with some seed. I don't know if
no, I
they
don't
took
think
it.
we ever did.
He did take some seed.
Oh, yeah.
I just hope that customs didn't get it. Maybe
Nope,
I shouldn't
it
be
all
saying
got-
this on here.
Well, that's
Oh.
their customs. What does that matter?
That's true.
Yeah. True.
Did he like it, the sweet corn?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he loved
Yeah.
it.
He loved it. It's way better.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. Just the
Heck
things
yeah.
you don't know. We're very spoiled.
Yeah. I gosh.
Maybe they're Argentinians or they're from South America. They're like, hey, field corn. That's what we
Yeah.
know. No, I
Yeah.
don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Stop it in the ditches.
Yeah, I mean, around here, as you said, it's all corn and beans, and that's all we know as far as crops go. I mean, we might see a little bit of wheat. Obviously people grow some hay, but
Yeah, that's
it.
interesting. You guys have all that.
Yeah, some pretty neat.
Yeah, it's
Did we even get through the whole list? Alfalfa. We do some hay too.
Yeah.
Some
You do?
alfalfa for hay.
Okay.
And then last year, because right now we're really dry. Last 2 years we've been dry. So we planted some hay barley and oats for hay too and sold that just because hay prices are good right now. Another option.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's
So-
very much, I love this about him. He's very much an entrepreneur and like, hey, what is something else that we could do?
Yeah.
And he sees where, markets are good here, markets are not good here.
And
That's why
one-
we ended up with butcher cows because we had extra feed that wasn't great. And
Yeah, I was going to go sell some cruddy hay or whatever. Been in stack for a while, so I went and bought cows.
Let them
3 or
eat it.
4 butcher cows, fed them to that, and then we clean our own. A lot of our seed we can clean
Mhm.
because it's not bagged seed corn or whatever. So we can
yeah,
keep
it's
our
not, like,
peas, our
protected or
wheat, or lentils,
Yeah.
chickpeas. Canola is like a GMO crop that we raise. So then that we have to buy that seed.
Mhm.
But everything else, we can clean the seed, and we have all this byproduct that's, if it's not too dirty, we can sell it at the elevator. But the peas we keep because it's really good protein for the cattle, stuff like that. So
Yeah, and that's a completely different thought process in farming because, like you said, harvesting your own crop and then turning that
Reusing.
into your own seed.
Yep.
Around here, obviously, you can't. It's illegal,
Yeah,
I
everything
guess,
goes to the
in one
elevator.
way or another here.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, just a completely different beast. The you had mentioned hemp. Weren't you guys doing something with hemp?
Montana was a state that the USDA or whoever let them do some like pilot research program stuff, and we were involved in that the first year, raising some, figuring out what we could raise. And then we've had, like in 2020, we had a decent hemp crop, and then it's a dual purpose crop for us in our area where we can harvest the grain for crushing for oil or hemp hearts. And then the fiber, which would be like the stubble that comes out the back of the combine, like the chaff and stalks, are available for being processed as hemp fiber. So they're using that from anything from the hard parts they'll put in like hempcrete, and it's like super strong, supposed to like help take some place maybe the gravel in concrete or whatever. Maybe I don't know a lot about that.
Well, they use it for some like homes. I think they're getting into.
Yeah, they're starting to build some homes, and like instead of stucco, like they're using the hempcrete or whatever for stucco. And
But then rope and clothing and
all of our stuff is shorter because we're not irrigated. Like the irrigated stuff's 12, 14,
It's
15
crazy
feet
big.
tall. Our stuff is like 6
Wow.
feet tall at the best. And then the fibrous part, like they're making rags, and like I think they mentioned baby wipes at one time, like stuff that's that size. Those fibers are long enough to be woven for that. So
they'll come in and rake the field like a hayfield, and
we'll just take our spreaders off or lift our spreaders in our combines, and we'll leave a windrow.
okay,
And like they want it to sit for 6 months in the field, and they
Really?
go ret, and it'll actually like break down the natural glue, so it's easier to separate. But we're kind of like, we don't really
we
want
need to get it off.
deal
just
with
because-
that in
yeah.
the spring in the mud, and we got to get going planting in the spring.
with all the different types of crops that you raise, can you get a couple of crops in a season or?
No, it's all
No.
one crop.
Okay, so you have to make the decision for that year. This is what that field's going to be.
Yep.
So do you already know for next year?
Yeah, I got most of it planned out
You do.
for the most part.
Okay. I didn't know if anything would change last minute, like you said, with the markets or how you guys look at that stuff. But
We're actually just last year was the first year that like the Fast Ag operated the whole farm. Before Dad had some land, Grandpa's corporation that like Dad and I own now was all 3 different like checkbooks
Entities,
basically
yeah.
that ran the farm. So it was a pain in the butt when chemical would come. We'd have to have it all split up and stuff. So now I'm running everything through Fast Ag. So I'm trying to get crops like I want 1,000 acres of wheat here, and 1,500 acres of peas here, like where I don't have to move back and forth and all that. So
We have to
Getting that all
drive. Yeah, the
planned
distances between our different farms are pretty spread out, so it's a lot of wasted time if we are.
yeah, if I got to move like to a place
Eroding.
twice to see 2 different crops, like maybe the peas are early and the canola's later, I might not do that all at the same time.
so they're not, all the fields aren't connected.
No, we're like 30 miles east and west, and like 15 to 20 miles north and south. Our farm's spread out.
Do you see yourself buying more in between, or no? Like
That's-
you're good with what you
I think
have.
I feel like we're at a good number.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's only.
I don't know. Land's always
It's
a
always a
bargain when you look back. Like
Right,
it was
yeah.
cheapest now than it's going to be in 5 years.
Okay.
So if you could buy, if stuff's available, I'm always interested in buying it.
but it's
because-
not really available. I mean,
No, it's usually pretty rare to buy stuff. We've been lucky last year. There was some land we were able to purchase, but
What would like today? What's an farming acre worth in that area roughly?
800,
gosh.
1,200, depending on where it's at and who's if it's next to some guys that have their whole farms paid for, they'll pay cash for some.
Sure.
So what's that comparable to what it is for us?
It's
I
gotten
wouldn't know.
10,
So different.
10
Crazy.
times
So different.
up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
800 to 1,500 an acre down here probably.
8,000.
8,000, I mean.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably 10
I think they
times.
just said,
Oh.
I saw something published the other day, and I can't remember where it was, but it was somewhere here in the area, Nebraska, Iowa. They just set a new record, and it was like 23,000.
Oh, there's some
something like
26,
that.
28,000 stuff going in the I-states now.
Is there?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I
Oh
mean,
my
for a record for
gosh.
the area,
Yep.
because it was even just a couple years ago, it was 7,000-8,000, something like that, and now it's well over 10.
Yeah, $1 million doesn't buy a quarter anymore.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you know what I don't know, I mean, I see the guys around here and the guys that we work with and what the potential is from a good corn crop, so does it all pencil out? Is that ground really worth that? How long does it take you to earn it back? Those types of things. But how would that compare? And you don't have to get into specific numbers, but with the crops that you grow, is it like equal amount of income from the grains that you grow compared to like corn or soybeans, or is it like way less and that's why the ground is less, or just because the different part of the country, or do you know?
Our
yeah.
scale, our farm sizes are way bigger than the Midwest. Like we're planting
Sure.
13,000
Yep.
acres a year.
Yep.
And I would imagine a pretty common sized farm down here would be 3,000 to 4,000 would be
Sure.
a good sized farm, I think.
Yeah.
So we're probably handling the same amount of money in the end,
Yeah.
but the
So-
price
so-
per acre here for an input is way higher.
Yeah. And so probably the amount of income, the amount of dollars that's being made off of the grain here is per acre is probably a little bit more.
On good price. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think so. Just because the bushels are so much more.
Yeah.
And the prices now are higher
Yeah.
than they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I always think everything's just scaled bigger.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas and Montana.
Mm-hmm.
they
No, I don't know.
leave your state out when they say everything's
yeah,
bigger.
just because you have to own more acres in order to meet your input cost. The equipment is bigger. Like that is
Totally.
always. I think that's probably the biggest draw for Tony for his channel is the size of the
Unique,
equipment.
yeah.
But you have so many acres to get through. It's just crazy.
Yeah, we'll plant in a day what some guys have for acres of
Oh, no.
soybeans down here
Yeah.
for their whole farm.
Yeah. That so for folks who might go and watch some of your videos after this, and there's probably some people on listening that watch them anyway, but this past year you got that new planter,
Yeah.
and I got to see that, and that's what we came up and worked on your tractor and got it tuned and all those kinds of things. Is that thing fairly unique in your area in terms of like just its size and capability?
The brand is pretty common now. There's a lot of Burgo air drills, and
Okay.
they're built in Canada. A lot of our equipment we're using, the headers and like the land rollers, all that stuff comes out of Canada. And they're just a lot more innovation.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like snowy out 8.5 months out of the year, they come up with a lot of good ideas up
Yeah.
there. So that's where that whole technology has trickled down into our area, and it has been like that for the last 20 years. But ours is 100 foot wide and a 1,300 bushel seed cart behind. There's a few 1,300 bushel seed carts around, but in our direct area, the biggest Burgo drill is probably an 86 foot.
Okay.
And then there's some 90 foot seed master drills and stuff like that in our area. But
And people don't realize, like, you hear 100 foot wide, and if you try to think about that, like, yeah, that's pretty big. But you see that thing in person, and you're like,
there's
this
sprayers
isn't
in
even-
Nebraska that are 90 foot wide.
yeah, that's true.
So our drill is wider than the sprayers.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the
yeah,
corn
see,
country.
I can't picture it in my head.
Well, you couldn't put it
What?
anywhere around here. Like
No.
You couldn't get it around. Yeah.
yeah, like the road. We're just wide open, and like we're flat-ish. I mean, we got hills, but there's some of our fields where you can stand in the middle of a section and see all four corners. It's flat enough.
How long is it from the front of the tractor to the back of the cart?
When we're moving it down the road, it's like 145 feet long.
Oh my
And it's-
gosh.
Like, for comparison, people that don't know, how long is a standard semi truck?
Well, like a van trailer is 53 foot.
Yep.
That's hauling
And then
down the interstate.
and plus your truck another
There's
20.
Yeah, most
Something.
most scales, the truck will fit on like a 75 foot scale.
Yeah.
So it's two semis end to
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Oh, it's two semis.
It's the length of
The length
two
of it,
semis.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But when it folds out in the field, it's like half that length.
Right,
Because
right.
Yeah.
the way the
Yeah.
transport it folds, it like gets twice as long going down the road.
And that's something like what you were talking about, Amy, that has been attractive for the channel because people can go and see that and see how these things work and how different and unique it is. I definitely encourage people to go check that out because it's neat. And if you're into power and machinery or anything at all, I mean, you already have one of the biggest tractors that was made at the time, and then turned it up to where'd you think we were at the motor when we left?
Well, it's a 580 quad, case
Yep.
quad track, and we did the testing, and it matched the Nebraska tractor
Yep, at the PTO.
testing. So that was like 535 horse of the PTO,
Somewhere in that range.
and we
yeah.
took it 105 up from that.
At the PTO.
So technically, it's a 685 quad now.
Yeah. So it's pushing 700 horsepower
Yep.
at the engine.
Well, when it's boosted, it'd be well over that.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
So it's been helpful.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The magic that Ben did help.
And it just still like blows my mind that we're 100 feet wide with 100 seed tips in the ground and 50 discs for putting the fertilizer down mid rows. They go between every other row. So there's 50 discs, 100 openers, a 1,300 bushel cart in the back, and I think it adds up to
And what
like
does it weigh?
260,000 pounds when we're loaded, plus the drag on the ground. That like these 4 tracks
Yep.
can actually even pull that. It just blows my mind.
It is wild.
So are you the only one that operates that, or will you let your guys out there?
I do a lot of it.
Okay.
I'll let the guys hop in it, and if I gotta go run somewhere, like once the field started and they're going back and forth, all they gotta do is turn the tractor around and hit GPS engage again and go the other direction.
Okay, so it doesn't make you nervous, someone else operating that so big?
Pretty flat. I
Okay.
won't let anybody go on the big hills just because
Yeah.
some of those kind of scare me.
Amy, do you do any of that? Can you operate any of this machinery?
No, I don't do that. I don't do anything during seeding season. I guess rolling is another thing that's very different from Nebraska because we
Yeah.
are so rocky and the crops are so short. Some of them.
Yeah, some lentil varieties aren't any taller than a beer can.
Oh,
Yeah, and so we're cutting
That's why
very
they're
close
so
to the ground.
expensive.
And there's rocks all over, and so we drive. I've driven the roller tractor, just a tractor.
just picks
like
up
this
rocks?
giant rolling
pushes
pin.
them in the
No,
ground.
it rolls over. It's very heavy, and it pushes the rocks in the ground.
oh,
Yeah, and so that I have done during the spring season, and then harvest I've driven combine and grain cart, but
yeah.
just
Her
whatever.
grandma gave her a really good advice because her grandma grew up on the farm as a
Yeah.
farm wife and said, don't let him teach you how to drive a truck because you'll always have a job.
Because
then.
that is a job that goes year round. Well, this way I only like in the spring I can do this and this, and
Yeah.
summer I can do, yeah. So
I mean, but
No truck driving.
you guys have 3 children, and you
yeah,
raise them, and you do homeschool, so like you're
Yeah.
kind of busy.
it's fun. I don't know. I love being. I by nature am a helper. I like to serve others, and so I don't know. I guess I'm serving in this way, and I love to. It's fun to be out there in the midst of it all and
Yeah.
helping, and then I'm also a sandwich maker. Pack a lot of lunches, but you know what that is too
Yes.
as a mom.
Yeah.
But
I
Right.
like sandwiches.
yeah,
I
it's
do
funny.
for a while and then they get kind of old.
I gotta get
I love
creative.
Do
any
you?
sandwich that somebody else makes me. That's
Yeah.
like the worst. There's a lot of things I'd rather do than make a sandwich in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just
It sucks making food when you're not hungry too. Like
Oh, yeah,
where
like
you're having
it-
to plan it for later.
4 in
Yeah.
the morning, and yeah.
It's way more fun to cook when you're hungry.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they say that's the worst time to go
No,
to the
you're not
grocery
to go
store
grocery
too.
shopping.
Because
Yeah.
Grocery shopping
Yeah.
and you're hungry. Not a
It's
good idea.
funny.
then you just start getting a bunch of crap.
It's
Couple
just
of-
so different. It's just so different up there.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of things you guys were talking about reminded me of some episodes that we've done in the past that I wanted to kind of reference and ask you guys some questions about. You were talking about homeschooling. And I don't know if we've got this episode out or not, but we did a recording on homeschooling versus public school. And we're both a product of public schools. Andy as well. And I think we had talked to somebody else.
We are. Yeah, we're both public schoolers.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So when we were recording that episode, I think we were probably a little more biased on the public school thing because that's what we've always experienced,
yeah.
and never really knew anybody real well.
Except I think I said something about
I
you
think so
guys.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how has that been, and when did you guys start doing that, and just like what are some takeaways from it?
Yeah. You want to, I don't know.
I'm not the teacher.
You're the principal. No,
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what the girls say. Yeah.
it's not true.
You send the teacher to the principal's office all the time.
The teacher.
The teacher
Oh,
gets
I
in
don't-
trouble.
Teacher.
to his tractor cab, maybe. No, we sent our oldest daughter to public school. I never had intentions of homeschooling ever. I myself am a junior high and high school math teacher and loved it. Loved being in the public schools. And we're just a very rural area. And I don't know.
Our school, like I graduated with 7 kids in my class. The kindergarten classes before Natalie were like 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. Their class had like 11. So
But it was also mixed with
in
first and second
in the
graders.
same room. So there's 3 classes and all these kindergartners that never had any structure of school yet.
Like there's no preschool in our area. It's
Okay.
just you're
So-
at home and you go to the.
So they split and it's only part-time kindergarten. I don't know if it's still that way. I'm sure it is. They're never going to change it.
I don't know.
And
maybe.
it's there was like when I went to start in October, and you'd go Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the so you only had half the hours. Well, they put like Natalie went Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and they like where she had half the kids in that group, and then the other kids went like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It was
And
just
and
it
it
was
was
kind
just-
of a mess. The teacher that was there had taught a lot and I think was experienced, but with a little bit older grades. And she was shoved with these, not only a large kindergarten class with some kids, like adopted kids from Haiti that had special needs, and it wasn't really her forte. There's no special education teacher at this school. Like it's just
yeah.
so rural. There's needs that cannot be met. And so after being proactive and like, I'll come sub in the school, I'll try to be, come in as an extra aide, and then going to board meetings and expressing opinions and knowing like, I do know my stuff. My mom was a kindergarten teacher. I mean, I've been around this. We were like, something's got to change. And the only other option for us, because we are so far away from everywhere else, this school's 7 miles from our house. You really have to
And
get
the
on
bus
Google
comes to our
Earth.
yard, and
Yeah.
like, it's not like
It's
it
a
was
good deal.
Yeah.
But there's nothing else in our community. There's no post office, bar, grocery store, nothing. It is a school, and that is it. You have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to anything else. So there's nothing else around. So we thought, let's try homeschool. And that was 7 years ago, and we love it. The other
3
two
kids later.
Yeah. It's been, and it just, the things I didn't realize in the midst of it, it was more so like, I'm fed up with the school. We're going to do something else. I like to be.
And it wasn't like we just didn't give them a chance.
Yeah.
Like
no.
Amy was on the phone a lot.
Trying to figure stuff out, trying to improve. And I was really hoping more people in the area would kind of jump on like, hey, let's homeschool with you. But not in our community, but the town that we go to for groceries and church and stuff, there's a big community now of homeschoolers there, which is really fun
there
for
is?
us. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But so what I think my favorite piece of it ended up being that we realized with our farming schedule and being busy the months that we are, and like we can't get away as a family to go vacation during the summer when most people would. We have our winters now. We have our as soon as harvest is over, we can take off for a 2-week trip. Like that's what this is
Sure.
right now. Why
Yeah.
we get to see you guys.
We went to South Padre, Texas in the middle of COVID with
Yeah, with
like 3 other families. We
3
crammed a
other
house on the
homeschool
beach,
families.
and
Nice.
it was pretty sweet.
You
And you
can
can just keep doing your
get up
schooling.
and go.
Yeah.
Yep. Take it along, or no, you're taking a break, but you'll have to add on here. I mean,
Right.
there's still each state has its own set of requirements. Montana's pretty chill, which is nice. And I'm diligent. I'm responsible, and I know like I want my kids to be educated.
Right.
So
yeah.
I will stay on top of that. I think it can be awful. It
There
can be
a lot
done.
of unschooling.
Yeah, it can be done in a not well way, but everybody's got their reasons, and
I think the
we love it.
stereotype of a homeschooled kid is disappearing.
it's changing.
It's changing
Oh,
a
for
lot.
sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
because we
changing.
talked about this earlier. It was always like
Antisocial,
the antisocial, nerdy.
Yeah.
That I don't think that at all really
Mm-hmm.
for homeschooling much anymore.
Montana
you know?
allows kids to play high school sports now.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
that was
do?
that was a law that
Yep.
was changed
A couple
Yep.
years ago, like our girls played junior high volleyball this year.
They look
and
forward to that. Yep.
So like there's they have tons of interaction with their kids. It's all, I mean, that was a lot on the parents back then, I think. Sheltering them and
Yeah,
not letting them
yeah.
Yeah.
be exposed to life.
For you guys, it was it was born out of necessity, essentially, because the system wasn't working.
Yeah,
from the sounds of it.
I knew it could be better
Yeah.
for our girls, and so I think, I mean, we've obviously learned a lot along the way, and I don't know, I wouldn't trade it for the world, just knowing that you have this time with them. But because I think I was saying this morning at breakfast, we are so rural. And so the thing I really, truly love about it is that we're like, peace out, rural. We're going to go travel. We're going to go see things. Like, I want to expose my kids to many things. I don't want them to be sheltered and hidden. And yes, there's certain things I want to shelter them from until they're old enough to have to deal with on their own. But
to be able to go travel and run around.
It has been so fun. So, yeah.
The flexibility.
Do you guys get access to like state testing or national testing or something?
If you wanted to, you could request it, but it's not required in the state of Montana.
Yeah.
Some states require it. Some states allow funding for homeschoolers. If you turn in certain, I don't know. I don't know exactly. We don't have to do that in Montana. I just have to turn in a letter of intent that we'll homeschool at the beginning of the year. And then if they request records from me, I have them available to present. I don't know of anyone that has ever been requested of them, but I track all that stuff still.
Yeah. I was just thinking along the lines of like, if you wanted like a barometer of, okay, here's what grade my kid's in, and here's how they would test against the kids that are in public school. Like, how are we doing compared to that?
Yeah, you have access to that for sure.
Yeah.
So I have not,
but
because
you don't care.
I've never been a fan of that. I mean, it stinks because you
How
have to
many
remember.
tests
You guys
have you taken in your life now?
Tests?
Yeah.
Oh God, loads of them.
But as an
What do you mean?
adult,
Oh, you mean
there's
right
not.
now?
As an adult.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
were trained,
Yeah.
like school, the whole program of school is like teaching you how to take a test.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is,
that's true.
and
It's
it's
so true.
changed.
Yeah.
It's gotten
Yeah.
even
Like,
more so.
why
Your
not teach them
kids,
life?
Teachers are teaching to
the
test.
Yeah, for sure. In school, obviously.
And,
yeah, it's a
and
lot
like
of tests.
to be progressively better, like you can't take like the whole No Child Left Behind thing, which I have no idea if that's still a thing.
Yeah.
But that was all like they're supposed to get better every year. Like, well, you can't do that. Some classes, like their whole program was just flawed from the beginning.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I always think one of the biggest things, you come out of public school and that's all you've ever known. But if you were to go back and look at your high school class or the classes around you, they're still weirdos.
Oh, yeah,
but-
absolutely.
But those
For sure.
have you kept in touch with them? Are they successful? Like
Right.
some of them are very successful. Some of them are still weird. But it's like, it's the same thing. Like, yes, you came out of public school and socialization was a big deal. We are social people. And so
Yeah.
our kids are bound to be, and they are.
Yes.
They get a little shy around people they don't know, but then
they're-
they cut loose and
They're talkative. They
Yeah.
talk to all of them, and
yeah.
yeah,
And so I always think like the stigma that's put upon homeschoolers, I love that it's being kind of overturned.
and COVID helped because everyone homeschooled for a little while
Yeah, realized.
or
Yeah.
schooled.
But
at
they were
home.
forced into it. That was really
yeah,
hard. Like,
that was tough.
you didn't go into that like, we get to do
Right, this
fun
is
stuff
my
and-
stuff that I'm going to teach you. It was coming from a teacher,
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, what?
I
I
don't
got to
know.
get on it this time.
It
or
probably
what?
exposed a lot of stuff that parents actually found out what was happening in their classroom with their kids.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
World,
Yeah.
Nationwide or whatever.
Yeah.
Worldwide, maybe.
We
Yeah.
never thought we'd be here, but we love it. And I have a passion for it now. And so I love when other people, even if you don't, I love public school too. There's pros and cons to it.
And we
both.
don't know
It's
if we're going to
just-
do it for life. I mean,
Yeah. As of right now, if you ask me, I'm like, yeah, we're just going to keep traveling.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see. We do look at it year by year. What does this year look like?
And
What-
would you look at it per child too, with their difference
Absolutely.
of personalities or
Yeah.
what they need?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's not just across the board. All the kids are doing this, or all
Our
aren't.
second oldest, actually, I found out, and I probably wouldn't have known this had I not homeschooled, but call me crazy, I don't know. But have you guys ever heard of the 5 love languages?
Yes.
Okay, and so physical touch, I found out, is our second oldest. Like, she just loves to snuggle. And she was really, really struggling with reading in the beginning. And not like she was so far behind. I'm like, we need extra help. But what is different? What has changed? And I found that if we moved from like our kitchen table to a couch and she could snuggle in and read with me, it was life-changing. Like
Wow.
something so simple. And it's those kinds of things that as a mom I'm in tune to, where
Yes.
in the public school.
You can't when you have 25
that way-
kids in a
no,
class.
That's the
Yeah.
problem,
And
yeah.
yeah, it is. They've grown or it, and yeah, I do wonder what is this world is going to look like 20 years from now.
That's so
Because
true.
teaching is kind of that's a hot topic because they're being forced to teach certain things or, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. So
What from a financial standpoint, like, does your district collect tax dollars from you guys that goes to the school?
they do.
So, and you still have to participate in that.
Yeah, we still have to
Yeah,
pay.
it's just
I mean,
it would be
property
the same thing
taxes.
if your kids are growing. You're still paying taxes
Sure.
for your
Yeah.
county
Yep.
property
Yeah.
taxes
Yep.
or state property taxes and stuff.
Yeah.
That fund the school.
It
or
is.
roads
So
or
I don't
whatever.
know. It probably is a bit more expensive. There is a lot of free curriculum out there. I'm telling you, it's overwhelming, honestly.
And
when
how
you
to
get
pick.
into what a curriculum am I going to use? And yeah, it helps to have a community that have done it. Or, I mean, it's so easy to get on YouTube and watch reviews and get in touch with people nowadays. And so, I don't know. We've found what works for us, and it's good. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's cool.
The one thing I also think that changed when we chose to make this decision is you look at life a little bit differently. I look at everything as a learning opportunity as opposed to, oh, my kids are just tagging along.
Okay.
Like, you know,
Like
'Cause you
going
feel
to the
like you're-
grocery
'cause
store
you feel
or-
like you are literally teaching them
yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah, it's not that they're
Yeah.
a nuisance and like just wait in the car. No, come in. You're going to interact. You know, I don't know, or they will ask a random question and we will take the time to let's look into this. Let's research this. Let's
Yeah.
figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
So-
totally different perspective. I
It did.
never really thought
it
about
twisted in
it's
a good
like
way.
real life things.
Yeah.
Again, that they
Everything
need.
is a learning perspective. So
It's not for everybody though.
no.
There's some parents that would just strangle their kids probably, or whatever.
Who's
you
to
know.
say I haven't every
But like,
Yeah.
or they're just not a teacher,
that. Yeah.
and they couldn't do it. Like
You say that,
I could
but then
teach them.
yeah.
I could teach them how to weld and
Mm-hmm.
about things I'm doing, but
There's so much available online now too.
Yeah.
It just depends. Like then I don't want my kids sitting in front of a screen all day, so that's why I like to be interactive. But as I get older, I'm going to push them to that. And then, do you want to go to college? What are you interested in? I'm not going to push them. If you need to go into the workforce for a couple of years, then you decide I would like to become a vet.
Yeah.
Well, let's get you into school. Who cares if you're 20 when you? I mean,
Right.
And the amount of time and effort, that was what we ran into during the COVID thing, because it's literally your job.
it is. It is a full time job.
So,
Yep.
where we and every other family around us was still trying to work, but then at the same time be a teacher.
And be
it's
confused
almost impossible.
by all the things
Yeah.
that
That
were
was-
required. And,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't even. My heart felt for all the parents in
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
It was nothing changed for
Yeah.
us really.
Yeah. Nothing.
like
would
no,
have-
really nothing changed
For sure.
So
So-
our gymnastics class was shut down, for a while. Big whoop, but
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, and like when Tony says, it's not for everyone, that's one of the things that I think of is like
Yeah.
a lot of people just flat out don't have the time to do it. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, we're very blessed. It fits so well with the farming.
yeah, especially like like you're saying, the two incomes from husband and wife, from mom
Yep.
and dad, and like if one of them has to stay home,
Yep.
especially
Changes.
when like you're paying for daycare for all these years as they're growing up, and then they're all in school now. That's like it's free daycare.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back to work. Well, then that just ended.
Yep, that's a big part of it. Yeah, interesting topic. So the other thing that I was thinking about that we've done an episode on, and we were talking about it before we started recording, is the like the fake meat, real meat thing. And I remember one time a couple of years ago, you talking to me something along the lines of like the peas, I think it was, that you guys
Yep.
grow,
The yellow pea milk.
and how some of that it was getting incorporated into some of these companies that like.
Oh yeah, their base protein for like the Impossible meats or whatever you want to call them are
The peas,
like
oh.
peas and lentils,
Yeah.
chickpeas.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
So
high protein, and that's what we raise.
yeah.
So like we should be all behind it.
Right. So that was my
But I'm
that was
not.
my point. Yeah. So that was my point about this, because we didn't get into that side of that topic, because we were talking about
How
The-
it's wrecking the beef industry.
yeah mostly,
Yes.
and then we tried them. We were talking about the taste, and man, this just isn't for us, and blah blah blah, and what is this really, and so on and so forth. But there's a whole nother side of it with families and growers like you who now it's another market for you to move your grain into, right?
Yep.
I mean, did you see an increase in demand when all that
yeah.
started getting popular?
So we have the first pea crop we raised was in 2005, and we went from a farm that was probably like 2/3 wheat, 1/3 fallow. Like we wouldn't farm that ground, we wouldn't plant it, we would spray it or work it.
Let it rest.
Let it rest because we're short on moisture. So if we killed the weeds, let that ground hold moisture for the year, we would have a better crop the next year. Well, that was a thought for all these 100 years before this. We're starting to like grow wheat in canola and peas and all this stuff now. We're holding the soil moisture more because we have more organic matter and all this. So it's like change our soil. We can raise more bushels off the same land now than we ever used to. But we have a sticky note from that first pea crop, and it was $2.80 a bushel, and we had to pay the freight, like get it to 100 miles away. But it was like, oh, we're like breaking even on these peas compared to spending money on fuel and chemical and all that stuff.
Was good for the ground.
Yeah, and like the next year, the ground's a little mellower, a little better. We have a better wheat crop than we would have had if it was wheat on wheat. So this like wheat on the peas is a benefit. So then now, with all like this demand you're talking about, like we sold peas last spring for like 15, 25 a bushel picked up on the farm.
Wow.
They come to the farm and get it, which is
So
like,
you don't have
we
to
don't
haul
have
it
to
anymore.
But
truck
they're grinding it.
They
for,
want it bad.
like protein powders for like the weightlifters and like it's all this stuff now. Like there's a huge market, and it was, I don't know, the Pulse board or council or whatever, kind of like kale was like the miracle food of the year.
Yeah.
The next year it was the pulses, and they must have pushed that really hard to get that out there. But it's like true, they are a really good protein source, and they can be putting a lot of things that you don't even know are in them.
We talk about those lentil crunchers, and they honestly are as good as potato chips to eat.
Yeah.
Like they're delicious, but they are full of protein and barely any fat. Like
The only fat in them is they
the
fry
oil
them
that they
after they boil them or roast them. Or whatever
but I
to
think
get
a
them crunchy.
serving even says 0 grams of fat. Like if you eat the actual serving instead of the whole bag. But
We
Wow.
usually eat the whole bag.
yeah,
So they are kind of a miracle food, I guess.
it really is
but-
amazing. Like when you think
And
about that.
they're like a soybean. Peas, lentils, chickpeas, all of those will put nitrogen in the ground for us for the next year's crop. So like they're definitely helping our crop rotation out and more profitable on the farm.
So with the whole fake meat thing, it's definitely been a benefit for you guys and lots of other growers around the United States.
I don't know if the Impossible Meats is a big enough player in the market, or is it just that worldwide there's a lot of lentils consumed and a lot of peas for protein
With the fitness thing.
and
all that.
they're almost a bushel for bushel replacement for corn for animal feed.
Okay.
And it does change the fat content a little bit from what corn does for the beef, and like that's what we feed is pea fed.
Yeah.
Growing up on corn-fed beef,
Right.
I was always very biased. Like, this is
Yeah.
the best steak
Yeah.
you're going to have. Well, now that we have our own few cows that we finished to butcher, and they are not eating any, well, they weren't eating any corn until now when you had your little corn crop this last year, but peas, like when we say we clean our seed, what does that mean to you, Morgan? Are you like, oh, you wash it?
I have no idea what that means.
So he has this sweet machine. I love the engineering behind farming. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
These guys are amazing what they can build. Women, I don't know, guys, the people. But it like the perfect amount of air blows off the grasshopper heads, the weed
suck
seeds,
off the light stuff.
the rocks. So it's getting rid of all the trash that's combined in with this seed.
There's basically a top screen, middle screen, and a bottom screen. So
Okay.
all the big pods that didn't shell out, the rocks, the sticks,
Grasshopper
whatever.
body that went, I don't know, bugs.
I just
What?
figured it was like some kind of shaker. or
Yeah,
something.
basically
kind of,
it shakes
yeah.
back and forth,
Okay.
and it's
But-
got different size holes. So you want the size that will feed, that will fit in your planter. You want the weeds out. The small seeds will fall at the bottom. The big stuff will go off the top, and you come out with a seed that's seedable.
But so what I was getting at is that our cows eat that junk, the trash that we don't want for our seed. Our cows we're feeding that to, and these peas, instead of corn, we're feeding them these pea screenings, we call them,
Okay.
and that steak is dang delicious.
So you think it's better? Or it's
I mean, now
It's equally as good or better.
I
I'd
honestly
say.
think it's better now. Like,
Okay,
I
you
would
do.
prefer to have that.
but could
Yeah,
you
it's crazy.
tell if you had
We did do a taste test,
You
and I
have.
was like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because we brought some beef down to Nebraska with us and stuff.
Yeah.
And compared
It was my
to-
favorite over the.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but then you just said something about corn. So you do have
Well,
a
just
little.
this last year.
Okay, so what does
That's
that
kind of
mean? Like a little fun little
We-
area.
back last time when corn was $6-7 a bushel, we had a corn planter.
Mm-hmm.
We raised some. We can get a short season. Like this will probably blow some of the Midwest guys away, but there's 75-day corn out there where they're planting like 80 or 96 to 105, 110 like here in South.
Mm-hmm.
So we were raising some corn. We can raise like 100 bushel dryland corn some years if the conditions are right. So we had a corn planter, but we had trouble with frost. We have our early frost date is like September 15th on average.
Gosh.
We didn't frost this year till like October 15th or
Oh, wow.
October 10th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like that season, it just shuts the corn plant off, and we ended up with like low test weight corn. But I had like 6 seed bags
Yeah,
left in
long
the
story
shed.
short, he had some leftover seed. So
Oh,
he's like,
okay.
And
"Let's
we're
see."
kicking it around like I'm not going to just
Do I
dump
throw
this
it
out 'cause I'm
away?
too
That's a
cheap for
waste of
that.
money.
So I planted it, and it did honestly looked really good. And then the grasshoppers showed up and just destroyed it.
Oh,
It was crazy looking.
It was nothing but it looked like a hailstorm. There was
Yeah.
nothing but stalks for like the outside 100 feet around the field.
and you can't
was only-
spray for grasshoppers,
You
or
can,
but
but
then
it's
that's just more
over
money
and over and over.
Oh.
Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
because
go
it was
all
the
year.
only thing green after harvest. Because our wheat harvest is all done.
We
so then
cut
all
everything
the
else with the corn.
grasshoppers,
They just were like, green food, let's go eat it. So,
they just flocked in there.
anyways, it looked hilarious. But so we have a little bit of corn seed. We won't. I don't know. You
And
did
you
save
fed
some
it?
for seed, but we're now feeding that to
Feeding
the
it
cows.
to the
just
cows.
because-
No, you can't. You can't replant the seed.
Oh, that's
corn
right.
seed.
That is right. I'm sorry.
We
Nope.
ended up with 70 bushels of corn, not per acre, 70 bushels
Total.
Off
on
of
18
acres.
That's little.
But the other thing
Little
is
amount.
the silks got chewed off like when the ears were forming, so like they were pollinated. So you'd have like a really nice looking ear, and next to one that had like 8 kernels on it.
It was just a funny little.
was,
Tony
yeah.
likes to have fun little side projects.
But we're gonna plant like 45 acres or 40 acres of it next year again, just because there's a little demand for some corn, for some finishing, some because peas are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys will plant, feed peas, but you're not gonna pay. I think market now is $10 a bushel. Compared
That's right.
to
You got that crusher or whatever. Too,
5-6
so.
bushels, or it's $5-6 a bushel for corn.
Right, yeah.
So
Well, and it sounds like a science project to me.
Well,
you know?
yeah.
Like
No, it absolutely was.
that'll be the next podcast: taste testing corn fed versus pea fed beef.
I know
For
that's
sure.
what I said. I was just like, God,
gotta
can
get
you
some.
tell a difference? But yeah,
We'll bring some ribeyes down next time and grill them up, and then talk about them on
okay,
the show.
yeah.
It's the same. It's the same breed, right?
Yeah, there's lots of Angus beef
Yeah.
in our area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just what they're fed.
I honestly don't think there's that much difference between
I probably wouldn't be able
breeds.
to tell a difference.
I mean, a Holstein
breeds, you
Jersey
mean. Oh.
probably isn't going to be
Okay.
the thing
Yeah.
you're wanting.
Yeah.
But
Well, the reason I ask is we had a couple episodes. We had the Piedmontese guys here. Have you guys heard of that breed? It's getting really big in Nebraska. They've
you'll
got
probably
this,
see signs going
yeah.
when you
Oh.
guys travel.
You'll probably
to
see it now that you know that you hear the name. But they set up a big outfit in Lincoln where they're processing everything. And they're kind of acting like you're familiar with like an Omaha Steaks, kind of in that kind of
mail
model.
order meat or
Yep,
whatever.
Yep. But their niche is that you talk about the fitness thing, like they're very high protein, very lean. They're kind of going after that category. But it's a completely different animal. And they found, the differences when they finish them on corn or when they're 100% grass fed and so on and so forth. And they gave us some of the beef and it's really good.
It
but
is.
it's definitely different than Angus.
But these cows are originally from Italy.
Yeah, it's an Italian breed, yeah.
I mean, if you look up some of these pictures, they look like they've been working out. These cows,
They're
like
ripped.
They are.
not
They have the
kidding.
big hump on their
Yeah.
back. that
It's
they
Oh,
do.
okay.
sick. It's weird to me when you see that compared to
Well,
just
like their
normal.
carcass weight is probably huge.
I'm sure, yeah. I don't know what it is, but it has to be.
Piedmontese. I have to look into that.
Piedmontese, yeah.
Piedmontese.
Yeah, I guarantee you'll see signs because I just started seeing them probably a year and a half ago going
Okay.
that way to Colorado. So
Okay.
if you're going to visit your family after this,
Yeah, you'll see it heading west.
yeah.
We used to run like a black Angus herd for the most part, and then Grandpa bought Charolais bulls. So we were all of our calves were reds or grays or white calves, but they were 100 pounds heavier at weaning weight than an all Charolais or all Angus. Just as the bone structure of a Charolais is bigger, now I'm sure they're like the Angus breed probably is growing
Yeah.
over the years too.
Yeah, for
But-
sure.
So
Cool. So the last thing that I had that I wanted to ask you about was in regards to YouTube. So like how that's going. You know, we talked about. You said it's been like 3.5, 4 years, something like that when you started. You know, why? What? How come you got into it? What's it all about?
I think a whole lot of it just everyone thought food comes from a grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
and like it does, but there's a story behind that
Mm-hmm.
and what it all takes. You know, you think lots of politicians or whatever out there will say, "Oh, you just stick a seed in the ground and it grows." But we've got like we're tracking technology of everything we do, whether it's a fertilizer rate, a seed variety, you know, how many pounds of all that stuff, like which chemicals we're using, later fertilizer. Like there's a big story to tell.
You
The
get
family
in his air
aspect to
seeder,
it.
Sorry, you get into his air seeder tractor, and there are screen.
Yeah, there's 3
So much
iPads.
technology.
Oh.
So much technology.
3
It's crazy.
iPads like above up in the headliner, a monitor for the drill itself, like that runs the cart and the openers and the pressures and all that stuff you need for that. The scales on every tank on the cart, we're tracking, like we know all that information.
At harvest and stuff. Yeah.
The monitor in the cab for the tractor for running all your tractor stuff. There's a switch box and yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on in there.
What was you probably saw it? Zach, Millennial Farmer, was interacting with some lady who was like is she a reporter or something?
Oh, she's like a Fox News.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it is now. Ann Coulter.
That's what it was, yeah. And she came out and said something like,
It was some video of some like people working in a third world country loading whatever they were hand picking into a truck.
Mhm.
And I think her quote was something along the lines of if the world was ran by farmers, we would still be sweeping floors, and it was something.
What?
yeah, she was
It
basically
I
trying to
didn't
say
see
like
that.
we wouldn't have vacuum cleaners. We would still be
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was
manually
the
doing
vacuum cleaner
things,
thing.
and
It
it
was
was
the
it was
vacuum
something along those lines. Like basically trying to say like farmers
There's
are
no
so-
technology in ag.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah,
old.
and they're all stuck
Yeah.
in their ways, and they don't want to adopt new technology or something like that.
So
was
Zach
basically
had
the
her
gist of it.
two on his tractor?
Well, no,
No,
she did this post, right? She said it was something like that, and somehow he picked up on it. So then he started like going
Trying to
back
get-
to her, like inviting her to his farm, like, "Hey, why don't you come out?" You know,
Okay.
he's tagging her, like,
Yeah.
"Let me show you what this is really about." You know,
Okay.
and then that kind of gained some steam, and people started firing off
It's
at
been
her
all over now.
Yeah.
But she hasn't decided to
Oh
do
no,
that.
because a fool will be made out of her.
Oh
Yeah.
it wouldn't be pretty.
It's
yeah.
just crazy.
Well,
how
that's just
removed.
dumb to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But
If-
it's
Here's the quote. If farmers ran the world, we'd still be sweeping instead of vacuuming and washing our clothes in rivers instead of washing machines. Why should Americans be forced to subsidize the industry who refuse to move into the 1900s?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
pretty
the-
crazy,
And it's
yeah.
Wow.
the 2000s now, by the way.
Yeah.
But here's the video. Like they're loading tomatoes into a truck by bucket,
Yeah.
which is
Tossing
that
it
guy's
up.
got some skills.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
Which,
yeah.
if you go
yeah.
down south and you see that,
There's
that is
still
one of my
so
favorite
much of that
things.
yet.
Yeah.
But there is like hand-picked stuff that's
That has to be like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's not
Right,
a machine
yeah.
that can pick a tomato.
Yeah. Right.
And
That's
not,
been some of my favorite traveling we've done with our girls is going and seeing the different kinds of farming. Oh, going down
For sure.
south
Yeah.
and oh, it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But we do not get to do that in the cold country.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so cool.
With what you're doing with the channel, I mean, showing those kinds of things like we just talked about with the tractor and the technology and giving people a glimpse, you know, behind the scenes.
yeah.
Right. And so that was kind
The
of
whole
the
problem
idea.
is it's such a like I think the viewers are kids that are farming kids, old guys that
Reminisce.
grew up on the farm and left it 50 years ago
Mm.
and can't believe what it is today.
Okay.
Or just people that are farming now. Like you said, you sent one of the guys to our video that he was wondering if the
Yeah. About tractor
if the
tuning stuff,
tractor
yeah.
tuning actually
Mhm.
made any
Yep.
difference.
But honestly, I think that's probably the majority of the demographics that are watching you. But I think there's a big group of people that don't have anything to do with it.
Mm.
And because we get contact with these people every single day, and they'll call here, they'll email here, whatever, and it'll just be like, basically, I'm not a farmer. I don't farm, but I really like watching
I'm
this.
in
I
New
really,
York
yeah.
in an apartment. I
I
really
really-
wish my kids could this or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's really
You know,
I
Yeah.
enjoy watching this. I enjoy learning about it.
Yeah.
And the kids, I don't know how many kids that we've had call that are like,
Can I have their number?
it's yeah, they
Right.
but they just think it's so cool, and
Yeah.
they don't farm themselves, but it has motivated them to want to get into it, you know, to go down that career path. So I think there's a whole lot that you guys are doing as farm tubers. You know, that's what they call
I
you
think
guys,
it's
right?
giving them almost a unified voice that wasn't possible.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Agree.
15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it you guys may not even realize that's what's going on, but there's a big fan base that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
farming.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think there is definitely a lot of that too. But the problem is, how do you reach, like, to make it?
Well, but people have to care
out
in
of
the
it.
first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They,
Yep.
You know, you
I actually was going to ask, like, what
have to
do you
care.
think would be the biggest challenge? Is trying to figure out what you want to put out there, or is it like,
Titles and thumbnails
okay,
and music selection for drone
no,
footage.
yeah, we don't. It's not like what you put out there. It's more so here's
How
our
do you
life.
catch their attention? Is like the hardest part to get someone to click on a video.
I gotcha.
So
What to put out there though? It's like this is our daily life.
Right.
I
So
mean,
that's not
yeah, we're
hard.
not trying to film stuff to get views. We're not whistling diesel destroying stuff on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trying
Okay.
to do that.
So
We're-
that's easy. It's the other stuff.
Yeah, and
getting
it's really-
people to watch it.
we're not like. There'll be a few occasions like, oh, you got to say that again. Like, you get my camera out and say that because that was hilarious, or like
Mhm.
that's fitting or whatever. But it's not like we're okay. Hold on, we got to set up a camera and go do this
Nothing
now.
is staged.
No, it's all like, I mean, we might set up a camera as we're changing a truck tire in the shop and throw it and fast forward just to kind of show the whole process. And
When I was out there last time, when did I come out there? Was that in the
like April or
Well,
it
we're
was
the ready
chill.
guys because you got put to work.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You had to work on
Yeah,
the air seeder
yeah,
with it,
yeah.
ready guys.
So March-ish of this year.
Yeah.
yep.
You know, got to see some of the behind the scenes, and you guys were putting an air intake on the tractor, and camera, you're just sticking the camera, and it kept getting in the way, and you're just doing whatever you're doing and recording. But we recorded some footage with the tuning,
Yep.
and literally, like you're saying, it's not staged. There's a light in your shop that wouldn't quit blinking.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
That LED bulb is flickering
That
all
is
the time.
fixed now.
And you were just like, whatever. This is what we do. Like, this just
Yeah.
turn the camera on. You know, so like it's definitely not.
It makes
staged.
it better
It's
to me that it's real. It's real life. You're real people.
Not
but
trying
then
to
the
make drama
viewers
out of it.
complain about that.
Oh,
Do
too.
yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fix
Well-
your light. Fix your cracked
Yeah.
windshield.
Oh,
We
jeez.
don't have like we're fine.
It gives them something to talk
No,
about.
I put new
It's
windshields in my
hilarious.
semi, and like literally 3 months later, they both had chips in it again. I'm like, I'm just gonna run this like this, whatever.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Oh,
Put up a link on the video. Like, if you're gonna complain about the cracks in my windshield, here's where you go to donate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
the
Go
windshield fund.
GoFundMe, windshield GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you see Fast Ag in, like, people always say 5 years, but even a couple of years, still where you're at, YouTubing? I guess it just depends on with platforms change, or do you want to stay just on that?
I don't.
Or,
I think it would be hard to switch to another platform
okay.
with it. There's platforms that run alongside of it. I think with like Instagram and Facebook pages
Yes.
are a good way to catch people and link them. You know, put a link in there for a video.
Right.
But
But you like educating. It's something you enjoy too.
He is very much so. I think that's what you'll see. We love to watch the Larsons, like, and they're funny.
Yeah.
Duggo, we've become good friends with Doug and Amy, and he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
I mean, but Tony is very much an educator. He's a teacher himself, and so I think that draws a different crowd sometimes. Zach's a funny guy too, and whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's still a unified voice. Like we are good people trying to make a living and feed the world. We're not trying to destroy. What
Yeah.
did you open with? Tony's a doctor of the land.
Doctor
like,
of the
but really,
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing their best to care for, and doctors try to keep our bodies healthy so
Yep.
they can have the best productivity. Same with land. It was a good one, Ben.
There you go. See.
Man, it's like you own a t-shirt company or something.
the whole thing about like that comment about, oh, you're just destroying the land. It's like, if we were destroying the land, that would destroy our livelihood. Like,
Doesn't make any sense.
we're doing things that have been proven to work it's all the activists out there that have no idea what they're talking about. They read some tagline somewhere that nobody knew what they were saying, had no like base on anything. Like Roundup hasn't killed anybody unless you like actually drink it. Like there's label instructions like to wear PPP, and like they know that some parts of it can harm you, but like we take those precautions. We wear gloves, like we don't touch it. Like that's what people and then
it's concentrated form in the
and it's caffeine's more toxic
potent.
at the same level of an ounce per ounce, and we all drink that every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And when people say stuff like that, oh, you're destroying land, whatever, like you said, if you were doing that, you're working yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
Like this is your actual job. Like anybody could compare that to whatever their job is. Like if you work on a computer and you're an accountant, would you sit there and pour coffee
Typing.
on your keyboard and kick your monitor and whatever? No, because you couldn't do business without it.
Right.
It's like,
We're raising more bushels per acre every year with technology, whether it's using a seed that can be sprayed with Roundup because it won't kill that plant. It has nothing to do with the seed in the plant and what it does. It just makes that plant can tolerate, it metabolizes that Roundup chemical, and the rest of the plants die. Like that's why we use it, because instead of us mixing like 3 or 4 different pre's and like putting a layer of chemical out there before we seed it to try and hold those weeds back that the canola can grow through, like that's what they used to do. Well, there's like 5 or 6 chemicals being sprayed. We're down to 1.
That's a big difference that a lot of people don't talk about.
Like the seeds cost a lot of money, but then so did all those chemicals. Like
and like they were saying, oh, you're destroying the ground or whatever. Well, actually, we're now doing a practice where we're using less of that stuff on the ground. So we made a move that we're helping it.
Yeah.
But they have to care to listen.
For sure.
On the other end.
Yep. Wherever their motivations are.
And there's no proof of anything. I mean, if you dumped a bunch of concentrated chemical on the ground, it'll probably sterilize it.
Sure.
But we're careful with that. We have a sprayer that can spray. Like we could put in 20 ounces into 1,600 gallons of water and put that evenly over a field. Like the equipment makes it so it's so evenly spread that it's never toxic to more than the weeds or whatever.
Right.
And that stuff's expensive. Like we're not just spraying it to spray it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you're not going to waste that.
Yep.
Cool. Well, one of the things that we'll finish up with, unless you guys have anything else?
Yeah,
Is
what
there
else
anything else
do
you
you
want?
Thank you.
No?
Thank you. We enjoy you guys so much.
Yeah,
I
you guys.
love that we
Enjoy
call
you.
you get to call us friends because, gosh.
You are our friends.
When we first met, I was like, oh, I like that couple. We got to hang out more.
Oh, God, you're sweet.
No, seriously.
Super fun.
We just got to get your hinder up to
I know.
Montana.
Gosh.
You guys have been awesome for us, because I had a guy making hats, and he would send me a box of hats, and then I would set up through the website and the Wix paying through credit card deal and all this stuff, and oh man, I gotta ship 4 hats today. And literally small town post office, I'd send $100 in an envelope, and they would just keep that, and every time they'd pull the money out, put change
Really?
back in it.
Well,
that's how it started
small
out.
town,
For the postage.
That's awesome.
Yep, they keep the money in the vault.
They're a
or
little
whatever there.
safe.
Yeah.
They're safe, yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys coming on, providing the service or whatever you guys want to call it, of being able to offer the design help and all that, shipping everything, and it all works with all the other brands is so sweet.
Yeah, no, and like I said in the beginning, you guys were one of the originals on the Farm Focused website.
Wow. So.
And from, my
Awesome.
standpoint and our standpoint, it was I'm so thankful that there's people out there that want to take a chance. Because,
Yes.
I mean, at the time we were so small.
And we were in our
only-
house, right? We
Yeah.
talked about that when you guys came over.
You were
so,
common
we've-
folk. That's my favorite.
That's
You were
exactly,
common.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
weren't Dolben. You were just common.
Thank you. Thank you.
You'll have to tell that story
Yeah,
some other time.
we'll talk about that
You're
story
welcome.
someday. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was so cool to see people give us a shot, and then then we knew we're not going to let them down. So let's get this thing running. So, and you guys were one of the originals, and now you see what we're doing today. And this is no extravagant operation, but
that
it's
makes it
turned into so many
amazing.
things because of folks like you that have allowed us to do that. So we thank you guys.
Yes.
For that as well.
Yeah, you're welcome.
As much
Thanks
as
for-
you're thanking us, we thank you.
I
So,
thanked you first. No, seriously, it's been great.
So the
What a
last
blessing.
thing I've got here is this Handle Bend company. Have you guys ever heard of them?
Yeah, I have. I don't know if.
Yep.
Yep.
So they're in O'Neill. Familiar with
Yes,
O'Neill, Nebraska?
I do.
Yeah,
Not like
right.
the Irish capital in Nebraska.
It could be. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know.
Come on,
Oh,
We gotta look
Neil?
into this.
Come on, that's like.
I mean, you
I'm
would
It
pretty
is
sure
think.
there's
Irish,
like
yeah.
St. Patrick's Day is huge up there.
Could be. I haven't been there for St.
Yeah,
Oh,
Every
I
state
hope I'm
has
not
that.
speaking out. Ugh,
Usually don't
I'm pretty
make it
sure.
out of here very far on St.
No.
Patrick's Day.
I'm gonna research that afterwards. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure it's like a huge deal up
It's
there.
gotta
Okay,
be.
Patrick's Day.
Well, it probably is.
Okay.
Anyway, so these guys, the Handle Bend company, that's where they're from. So then they set up their company. They're making these copper products, handmade copper products, and they're really investing in their community. They got a cool spot down there now that you can go visit, and it's like a venue, and I think they've got drinks and all kinds of cool
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But we partnered with them to have some custom products made, and these are gifts that they gave us to give our guests. So this is for you guys to take back. You can see this. Obviously, these guys are very invested in what they're doing. You can just look at the packaging.
It's really cool.
This
I'm
thing's built out of wood, nailed together. There's a couple of cups in there.
Stamped.
You get a crowbar
like,
to
is this
open
the
it.
handle
To open it.
That's so you can open the package.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
I mean, just a lot of thought put in this,
Crazy.
and a very cool product. So, from us and from Handle Bend, we want to gift this to you guys.
Thank you.
And just give a shout out to them. Hopefully, people will go check them out. Handlebend.com. Super cool products, and it's that time of year, so these are great gifts.
And we're hoping to go there sometime.
Yeah, we were going to go record with them
podcast.
actually
Maybe
Yeah.
at
around
their
St.
place.
Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'm
like
gonna
roads
it.
are nice.
buy one of those for your white elephant gift exchange for your family.
What?
One of those.
That's
Oh.
way too nice for white elephant.
It-
Well, but we don't.
Oh, you do
that's-
nice.
They do
Oh,
nicer
it's-
things.
yeah.
But it'd be fun to see
$25,
somebody
$30 limit.
opening this.
This
with
would
the
be-
little
That would be perfect.
crowbar.
I don't know anybody that wouldn't like to receive that as a gift.
Yeah,
It's
there's like cool cup
super
ones.
cool.
It's one of those deals. It's who can bring the gift that gets fought over the most.
There you go.
That would be
So,
it.
Yeah.
So
That
it's
would
got
be a
your
good one.
logo on there too.
Yeah, so
That's
they
cool.
custom they'll custom
Aw.
do those things for any brand.
Like one-offs.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. Yep. So cool product. So shout out to those guys. Thank you for that. Hopefully
Hey,
people enjoy
I'm
it.
like, I know you're almost done here. Where do you see yourselves in 2, 5, 10 years? Because it blows.
Ben?
I have so much admiration for you two. Just like seeing this house that we're at, where you've got the office now, the headquarters, the HQ. But what do you see for yourselves?
Like bunker branding size.
Maybe I think
You're kind of doing separate things though because of the diesel tuning stuff and that.
yeah, and that's just something, that we started doing early on, so it stuck around and I really enjoy it as far as the diesel tuning goes. But as far as the farm focused, merchandising and branding side of things, as long as, folks like you are around creating videos and have a need for what we do, then we'll be
keep it up.
around. Yeah. I mean, I could see a day when a lot of that trickles away, and then maybe there's not a need for us to continue to do the merchandising, but hopefully by then we've got some brands created that would even just stand on their own if that were to ever happen. They're a brand that folks want to be a part of.
Or just have the farm focus brand that's just printing T-shirts of
Right. Sure. Yep.
people like.
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And with what's happened in agriculture and in social media and how we've seen like this kind of tidal wave behind it of interest and more people popping up and getting into it and all the brands we represent now, I see a lot of the same kind of thing going on in the outdoors. So we're creating the new brand that we call Stock and Rod. So it'll be the Stock and Rod website that will be doing for the outdoors what Farm Focus is doing for agriculture.
So you'll print a shirt from both websites, one after the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be
Yeah.
all kind of
Right,
the same
right,
shipping together.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. So that's our next phase as far as the business goes. And then of course, you guys are here. You see the facility. We're out here on my family's farm.
I
In
love
an
it.
old house. Like
Yeah.
we need a building.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
We need
Yeah.
a little bit bigger space.
Need
We're
more
running out of room.
little
But
bit-
it makes me appreciate it. I
For
wish
sure,
everyone
yeah.
could see it just to
Yeah.
see like you have put your heart and soul and you're hard workers and
It's grown.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
For
You've-
sure.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
It's
Sweet.
just fun.
You got a
Yeah.
sweet
So fun.
business model for us to be a part of, though. That's
Yeah.
what's awesome.
It's an
Yeah.
honor. It's cool.
It's super easy from our side because it's like, here's an idea. The
Yeah.
designer works on it. Sarah puts
Right.
it together, like gives us options. Like, yeah, let's go with that one. And then like, a week, we've got samples at home
Yeah.
to see which ones we want to do.
Yep. We're definitely trying to make it as easy as possible for you folks.
Yep.
Very cool.
Good.
Cool. Yeah.
High fives.
Cheers.
Yes.
Yeah, normally we have a drink at the end, but we're not going to today. So we'll
You guys have a
Cheers
little
with
more of a
water.
drive.
get on the road.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
gotta.
And it is midday. It's lunchtime, guys.
Yeah.
Well, this
All
was
right.
great. Thanks
Well,
for
yeah.
coming.
Thanks. Absolutely. So fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thank
So
you
fun.
guys. Have a good trip home. Great to see you as always. Go
You
back
too,
to the
too.
cold.
Yeah.
We'll see you in like a month.
That's right. FBN.
Yeah,
Farmer
FBN.
Farmer. Yep.
Are you
That's
coming?
right. Yeah.
We're going to be selling merch there.
Yep.
I didn't know if
Announcement.
Morgan was gonna be able to come too.
Well,
Not that
I'm
I don't
sure
like
at
Ben,
some
but I
point.
just love hanging out with him.
I'll be swinging by.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
She'll be the
Awesome.
delivery girl of all the merch we need.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yay!
Peace.
All right,
Okay.
cool. Well, I'm going to hit
Adios.
the music. We'll see you guys.